Well, look who's popular now. 8 years after stepping off that golden escalator and facing resistance at every turn, President-elect Trump is the talk of the town. Foreign leaders and tech CEOs are all scrambling to get a seat at Mar-a-Lago. Big names like Tim Cook, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos have either met with or will be meeting with the president-elect about his second term. And even Trump himself seems surprised by the positive reaction.
I had dinner with sort of almost all of them, and the rest are coming. And this is one of the big differences, I think, between, we were talking about it before, one of the big differences between the first term. In the first term, everybody was fighting me. In this term, everybody wants to be my friend. I don't know. My personality changed or something.
There's a good reason why President-elect Trump is resonating with so many in the business community. At his core, the guy knows how to work a room. Even Stephanie Ruhle is giving him props for being more approachable than Joe and Kamala.
I called him and said, I want an interview with you. Obviously, he said no. But my point is, I was able to get to him by dialing his phone. If I were to want to connect with VP Harris or President Biden, there's 50 people between me and that. I could write a note that maybe could get to somebody, then through Pony Express and a pigeon, something might end up in a mailbox near them. And I called DJT to say, yo, can I have an interview? He told me to go myself, but I still was able to connect with him.
All right, Dana, yesterday I think I either said or asked the question, is that a change in Donald Trump or is a change in America? But I think maybe it lies more in the past 4 years and having lived through the Biden years and his disastrous policies. Which do you think it is?
I think it's a little bit of everything, but in particular when Joe Biden gets elected by saying, I'm going to return things to normal. I'm going to calm everything down. And then he got into office and with his chief of staff, Ron Klain, decided to take every squad member position and move the country so far to the left that they couldn't tack back. And then they started the lies. There's the Afghanistan withdrawal, et cetera. So 4 years of that was like enough. Before Ronald Reagan ran for president, well, back when he was thinking about running for president, maybe he even had his hat in the primary, people said Reagan's crazy. Then Jimmy Carter became president. And after 4 years, people were like, we would like Reagan, please. And then you started the Reagan Revolution. And an interesting thing about the tech CEOs is this time you don't have the boards of directors or the shareholders saying a word. There's no negativity and no blowback from their customers or their shareholders or their boards. And in fact, there might even be some encouragement. The last thing I'd say is there's something to be said about conversation and the power to convene. That's one of the best powers that a president has and the cabinet will have is let's get together, let's talk. And there's power in conversation. That's what we do. This is one of the reasons this show is so successful for 14 years, because we can have a conversation, talk about ideas, go, oh, on the one hand, on the other, oh, actually, I hadn't thought about it that way. Interesting. But meeting somebody and just being able to break bread together, this is a way that you can end or at least mend some of the bad relationships and help polarization in the country.
Jesse, do we see, big tech's change of heart in terms, think of what they did. Not just in terms of the 2020 election and shutting down all social media, but they were heavily invested in making sure that Donald Trump didn't win, calling him a racist. And so is this change of heart about business or politics?
It's probably both. The best story. So remember when Zuckerberg canceled Trump off Facebook after January 6th? Yep. Well, he invites him down to Mar-a-Lago for dinner. He begs to come for dinner. And he brings in the January 6th choir. And the January 6th choir sings the anthem. And Zuckerberg has to stand with his hand to his heart while the January 6th choir sings the national anthem. And it's a long time from 4 years ago, Judge. You either have to get on board or you're going to get tied down to the tracks. The first election was a shocking win. This was a commanding win. And we had a guest on last night and said some brilliant stuff, and I'm just going to repackage it.
Love that.
Trump is so unique. Here's why. He's wealthy, so you can't bribe him. Yep. He's handsome, and so you can't honey trap him. He's been around models his whole life. And He's also a celebrity, so you can't influence him with A-listers. He's not awestruck. He's not starstruck. So the only way you can really charm him is by investing in America. And we look back at some of the donations from some of these inaugurations. They give a couple pennies. It's usually a couple $100,000, and no one makes a thing out of it. Now it's like press release, Amazon's donating $1 million. This company's donating $1 million. Everybody wants to get on board, and you're right, Dana. He's so much more commercially viable now because think about the dark cloud of January 6th, the Fine People hoax, Russia. Now no one cares. Everybody wants to get in on this. Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, Democrat, was trying to get a picture taken with Trump at Army Navy and was waiting outside the suite that was locked. He had to stand out in the hallway, and he got his picture taken. And now these donors, Reed Hastings, Netflix, are making a pilgrimage to the patio in Mar-a-Lago. And the Democratic Party can't do anything about it. So when Kamala Harris says we got to fight, all of her donors are at Mar-a-Lago trying to get along.
You know, Harold, doesn't this sudden change of heart prove that when the left said that Trump was racist and that he was Hitler, that even they didn't believe it?
Well, good to be back with you. I always said that people shouldn't be calling people Hitler and fascist, but we should all take a step back. This is a time-honored tradition when you have a president elected that business leaders, be they Democrat or Republican,
Didn't happen in 2016.
Well, it happened in 2012. It happened in 2008. It happened in 2004. But I hear you. But I'm just saying this is not. I understand the purpose of your question, what you're trying to get at. But this happens with business leaders, and we should all think it's a great thing. Because the thing that is driving and fueling our economy and driving all of this growth, a lot of these men and women who are going to see the president, Ted Sarandos is one from Netflix, he and Reed are co-heads of the company, they're going down because of AI revolution concerns, growth and antitrust concerns. Everyone has interests here. And it's great to see. I thought Stephanie Ruhle said it well, and Democrats had to take a lesson from this. Yep. It's the axis of access and answers versus evasion and elitism. We'd gotten to a point in our party, she was right, you couldn't reach anybody without going through 20 people, and you hope the 30th person could get you a call back. The fact that the president is taking these calls, taking these meetings, whether he agrees or disagrees, it lets everyone know what the rules are on the playing field. And if you know what the rules are, you can succeed, whether it's Tim Cook, whether it's Mark Zuckerberg, whether it's Ted Sarandos, whomever it may be. And for that matter, I even think that the president's trying to figure out what his answer is going to be on TikTok. I think his answer there is a critical one. And if he's lining up some of these guys to perhaps buy TikTok from ByteDance, it'd be a great thing for the country. And as the president said yesterday, he got such a big lead with young people. I'm sure he would like it as well if TikTok was sold to an American company.
That's right. He did very well on TikTok. He told us that yesterday.
He did indeed.
All right, Brian. Think of how much Donald Trump was able to get done during his first term, in spite of the impeachment and the protests and the riots and the hate and all that. This really can be a golden age for America.
It can. It seems like everyone's on the same page because what he's saying is not Republican ideas. It's not like, oh, here's my conservative agenda. He goes, here's the Trump agenda for the country. And that's why he's blurring the line and making it hard to fight. And I think that's got the Democrats a little off balance. So I asked one of the Trump officials, what are they asking? What's going on at dinner? Like, do they just come down and they just have a good time? And he says, first they make amends. They look at to form relationships. Then they pitch him on their plans. And then he says, they all say, this is how we're going to invest in America and hire American workers. And what they love is that promise of 15% tax rate if we do just that, make our products here. I also think we should go to the next level and allow our first-round draft picks, immigrants that are going to college here. I think part of immigration could be letting them stay because we need these workers. Steve Jobs talked about it before he died in Apple. He goes, I can't bring the manufacturing back here. We don't have enough engineers. So if we're training them, why are we sending them back to India and China? Let's keep them here. So I don't think there's any problem with that. And I would say this to Mark Zuckerberg, especially in Sergey Brin and that unpronounceable name Pinchot over at Google. You want to prove to me that you want to prove to me that you are into it now, you're going to be pro-American? Do what Elon Musk did. Let Matt Taibbi, let Barry Weiss, and let Michael Schellenberger go into your Facebook files the way they went into the Twitter files and talk about what exactly you did in 2020 and during the pandemic to silence conservative thought, pro-Trump thought, and maybe people that were questioning the vaccine. Then I know you wanted to make amends. Until then, you're kind of getting away with it.
You're right.
And getting a fresh start.
You are so right.
When the CEOs go to dinner, the first thing they do is apologize.
Yeah, they may look to make amends.
That's
Yeah.
Hey, sorry about that. Lost my temper there.
No,
Let's get this out of the way.
Can't you see Donald Trump sitting there and say,
You go first.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I
exactly.
think, Judge? And you know a
All
lot
right.
of CEOs. I think they all thought they could have done what Trump did, and they're like mad at themselves if this guy could do it in 2016. By the time 2024 came around, they realized they couldn't
have done it.
There's something special about Trump.
Yes, I think everyone agrees with that.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.